Hi, Rich. Such a
Hello.
pleasure to meet you.
No
I've heard
problem.
so much about you and what you've done for Street Style. So, my name is Marion. I'm here today with Story Magazine, and we just wanted to talk to you, have a candid conversation one on one about your work within Street Style, your work within fashion, and your work within
You're welcome.
PR.
You're welcome.
Okay, so to start off with, can you tell us a bit about yourself? I know you're rich, and I know you've worked sort of in fashion as you were saying before this
Yeah.
started. You were saying you sort of worked in editorial fashion, that you used to wear Kalkani, who you've sort of come along and represented now. That you've done a few different tidbits in fashion. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Okay. How far do you want to go back?
Just from when you were wearing Kalkani, how you went on then to sort of represent brands like that.
Okay.
How you worked in sort of editorial fashion, working as a fashion editor for things like FHM.
Okay. Cool. Well, I mean, as a kid, I always was obsessed with brands, and I was into hip hop. I was into rave. I was into punk. I was into indie. I was into everything really. I was just trying to discover as many subcultures as I could, and I would always really get deeply involved in all of them, whether it's skateboarding or boxing and each brand signified how much I was passionate about that. So on my hip hop days, I would wear Kalkanai and I'd wear Fubu and I'd wear Blue Bolt jeans. And on my rave days, I would wear Fila and I'd wear Champion, and that's just stuck with me all through life. I've always been a bit of an attention seeker, so brands and clothes has been my thing. And I wasn't very academic really, so I just kind of just followed what I was into, and gradually some of my friends would ask me what to wear, then their dads would ask me what to have in their wardrobe, and the only real job I could ever think of was doing the fashion section in a magazine at the time, lads magazines, men's magazines. So that was kind of the only thing I could see myself doing. So I applied, after doing some work experience, I applied for the magazines, and after about a year of trying, I got a job as fashion editor, and then I just did my thing. I was myself, and I progressed on to being a stylist for bands and brands, and eventually set up my own agency, which you're in now, Rich London, and we now represent all of the brands, luckily, that I grew up with.
Isn't it amazing? So you've pretty much come full circle.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I mean, I've missed out a lot, I guess. There's a lot of things. It's been a bit of a bumpy journey, but I've no real qualifications or training, or it's just in my visual head. I've always known what a brand should do next, or how music should be aligned with brands, and it's just been like that. I've just, from one thing to the next, trying to push myself, bigger projects, more responsibility. So that's a bit about myself in a top line, if you like.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
You mentioned that you don't really have training, and that it's all been about knowing just how a brand should operate.
Yeah.
How do you think brands should operate, especially in this time and day, especially with this pandemic where everything's gone virtual?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the big problems with brands is, or anything, a band or any kind of creative thing, is the minute it becomes really popular, the infrastructure within the brand becomes more corporate, and investors, and there's a board, and there's gradually dilutes the wholesomeness of a brand, and the team can become detached from what the brand actually set out to do. So brands, I think, should always recruit youth and have a creative director inside of their brand that knows the ins and outs of the brand. It's very difficult to find that person, because as people move on, the suits and the corporate people don't know who is genuinely, authentically knowledgeable about trends and fashion. But it's just keeping relevant and keeping keeping in tune with what's going on, and having that youth within the brand to be able to tell the people at the top what's going on. Otherwise, it gets left to outsourced businesses, which can take you in the wrong direction. So it's really important that there's a good team within the brand.
That's incredible. Talking about businesses and going in the right direction, we know that Kalkani was one of the brands that you used to wear, sort of in your youth and so on and so forth, as you were sort of experimenting with different subcultures. And I guess hip hop was one of them.
Yeah.
Kalkani was really well known sort of in the 90s.
Yeah.
But we're told that you were one of the people who really helped sort of with the resurgence of that brand. Could you tell us a bit about it and what you sort of did for them and how they went from being quite quiet to coming back and relaunching?
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, I guess from the age of about 11, I was into rap at the time, and it was just a brand that at the time you could only really find in London. There's a shop on Oxford Street called Mash, and we used to travel down the train and buy these massive jeans. Like must have been about size 24 waist, and I was buying 36-inch waist, and they were just massive jeans. And it's just as my agencies developed, trends have developed. We spent a lot of time working with the sports heritage trend, with Fila and Champion and Kappa, and now this what I call streetwear heritage trend is coming through. And after a long period of streetwear brands that have kind of come and gone. Brands like Kalkani, Sean John, Fubu, Stussy, Supreme, the ones that were in the beginning, people are looking back and they were there from like early 90s. So how it came about, I think we went to Berlin and there was a small trade show, and I think there was someone just starting out, maybe looking at bringing the brand back, a company that we now deal with in Germany. And what we did, we came up with a campaign called the Can I campaign, because although you say Kalkani, and that's what I used to say, Kalkani. In London and across the UK, it was a bit of a Nike situation. I always said Kalkani, but the truth is Carl, the owner, his name was Carl Williams, and when he started the brand, he wanted to be like a black Ralph Lauren, but it was like, can I do that? And he kept asking himself, can I do that?
So that's what Can I?
So he was like, sod this, I'm changing my name to Can I, because it was inspirational for him, motivational to keep going.
Incredible.
So so we started the Can I campaign, which was all about educating the new generation about what the brand is, reintroducing a lot of the same samples which were popular back in the day, and literally the same kind of template to the brand, visuals. And this campaign really worked. We kind of profiled loads of different emerging and creative individuals, and they really kind of felt the brand, and that was great exposure. We also have lots of influencers and rappers, and they all know the brand from back in the day. I think we had DEE, we had lots of different people coming in. Oh, they see it and they're like, wow, they remember it. And but for the younger kids, we're just re-educating them. So yeah, it's a mixture of social content. We manage the social media, a lot of the strategy, and yeah, it's going really well.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
And it's funny because, I've got pictures of me wearing these massive things as a kid, and yeah, it's very nostalgic for me, and I think I like bringing things back, and if anything has been cool before, it'll be cool again.
Right.
And that's the nutshell of it. You just kind of have to pick up on the formula that they use to make it cool in the first place, and just make sure that it slots into subculture in today's world.
So is it your interest in sort of subcultures that has you sort of representing primarily sort of streetwear, sportswear, and that sort of thing? Because here in Rich PR London, I'm noticing a lot of the brands that you have seem to fall into that category.
Yeah, I mean,
it
is, but only by, it's an interest of mine, but it's really just all I know. You know, it's like a life that I've lived. It's you know, I spent 15 years going to nightclubs and raves and really doing that extreme to an extreme. You know, everything you could have done in that culture I did, and in the same with rap and skateboarding, and really became immersed in those worlds. So I feel like that's my qualifications, if you like. So rather than having a degree and a master's, that's what I know about. So if a brand wants me to do a shoot, like a house party, or a brand wants me to do a shoot where there's loads of kids doing something wheelies or doing, you know, something urban, they always want to be urban. So it's, if you've lived that, then it's easy to make it authentic, and it's also easy to communicate with the subjects, the photographers, the people on the street, or to make it real, you know, to get real break dancers, real skateboarders, and be able to communicate with them so they feel comfortable. So that's I just have this. I'm not very corporate type person, what's the word?
You're not a sort of 9 to 5.
No, I just like to have fun, you know, and I've always get bored easily, and you know, if we think some of our clients maybe need a bit more energy this season, then we'll come up with some ideas until we're excited with it, and if we can put a party on that we enjoy, then we know that the consumer's going to enjoy it, the media's going to enjoy it, and it's all going to so we don't really think too much about targets and we just try and make things cool, you know, and us to appreciate the brands for what they are. You know, we know that Shot is a 110-year-old brand, and it's been through. You know, they invented the biker jacket. So much history. People, Marlon Brando, Debbie Harry.
It's a lot of history.
So many history. Punks, skinheads, ravers, hip hop, gangsters, all over the world. And you know, even not so long ago, Kanye went into the New York store and bought a jacket. So this really, Drake wears it. So there's so much like history. So every season we can dip into that and make it relevant to what's going on at the moment. So yeah, no, it's enjoyable. It's obviously it's my business, so it's try and make every day fun.
Yeah,
you know. So all I ever have done before this was work on a magazine, and there's always music on. There's always different people coming in. So that's the kind of environment that I feel comfortable in, and you know, sometimes it's hard to concentrate or whatever, but it just music's important. So we're obviously in Brixton, so it's a hive of youth culture and different every day. So you know, that's
incredible. I for one love the brands that you represent. Story Magazine last year did a shoot called Drip Drip.
Okay.
And we had to come in here and pull some pieces. So it's funny that we're sort of sitting just in front of this rail, because I pulled this piece.
Okay.
You know, this Scott NYC limited edition leather piece, and it's just incredible. It's the quality of the leather, it's the quality of the finishing, the detail, the stitching. It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's a big, still handmade in New Jersey.
I didn't know that. So it's handmade.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a massive factory in New Jersey, and there's just factory line, people hammering and bending leather, and And the history is really incredible. You know, it's founded in 1913, so they made jackets for the military, and they invented lots of different functions on a jacket that help people on their motorbikes. You know, zips here so you can fit your gloves on easier. They're the first company ever to put a zip on a jacket. So loads of history.
There's a lot of history there.
And they're still relevant. They're still doing stuff. Still doing collaborations. You know, they do collaboration with Supreme every season, and always new things happening. So
I love it.
That's a brand that we've been looking after for about 10, maybe 11 years. So
it's incredible. The fact that you've been looking after them that long says a lot.
Yeah, no, we do a lot of stuff with them. You know, their campaigns, their all sorts, really.
You're an OG.
So
That's my next and second to last question. So I love that you've sort of worked in editorial. You know, you've been inspired by all these subcultures. You've chosen to set up your business, Rich London PR, in Brixton, which, as you said, is sort of an interesting hive for a lot of subcultures, and it's so inspiring. There's always something happening in Brixton.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody looking to break into fashion, looking to break into PR, looking to break into branding, because you've kind of done a bit of everything? What would you say to them? How should they sort of target?
I think you need to have a really strong life experience in whatever you want to, in whatever sector you go into. So if you love shoes and heels and different kinds of footwear, then that's the area of PR that you should go into. And if you if you love tech, then you do tech PR. But in terms of like fashion and branding and things like that, I think that the most important thing is, I mean, college and university is important. You need to be able to handle constructive criticism, and you need to meet deadlines and manage budgets, and just the fact that you can stick something out for 3 years is important. But at the same time, you need to have lived a life, travelled. You need to have seen all different elements of what's happening in fashion in the real world, not just there's people that have got a first or a master's, and they may not have left their room. You know,
absolutely.
And then there's other people that are out there clubbing in Argentina or collecting trainers, and they're meeting people that work. You know, work experience is really important. Get work experience in a job or a sector that you could see yourself working in, and just stay there and get there early, leave late, offer help, and offer help in areas that you're not even meant to offer help in, because people will appreciate it. Just speak your mind. If you can hear someone that's coming up with a rubbish idea, then just chip in. As long as you're confident that you've got something of value that you can add to the conversation. If you don't, then perhaps you'll learn next time how to rephrase that, and maybe whoever your mentor is can say, maybe that was a bit inappropriate, but just kind of speak up, wear what you want to wear, be yourself, and just look for opportunities, because it's never going to come. A brand's never going to come and say, oh, hey, we want you to be our creative director, or hey, can you do this shoot? Because there's so many people emailing non-stop. Even when I was a fashion editor, my boss used to say, you know how many emails I get, want your job, and
wow.
And I'd all that sort of stuff. So it was you're always got to keep on your toes, keep your guard up, and have that kind of do everything to the best you can.
Fantastic answer, Rich. My final question is, we're in here, I'm going to have a look at the rails and have my filmmaker Toby, sort of film me, sort of rifling through your rails and looking at some of the products up close.
You're welcome, yeah.
The final question would be, you set up this business, you set up Rich London PR in Brixton, where it's all a go at once. What's one
You make
thing?
it sound very glamorous. You
No,
make it
it
sound
is. I love
very
Brixton.
glamorous. No, it is.
Yes, my
There's
next
some glamour some
interview
days.
was sort of at the station, where when you walk into the station, inside the station is this little news agency.
Yeah.
But that man happens to sell all the magazines,
Yeah,
the hottest magazines.
He knows us very well. I mean,
Ah, so
if
you
we
have
want a
his
good
work.
mag, we've got an account there. So
Yes. So that's
he
what
does
I'm
actually
next.
he does actually sell
He
a
sells
very
incredible, like
very
a
good
vast
mags.
range of magazines,
no, that's
everything
good.
from High Street by
Yeah.
whoever to all the versions of Vogue that you could ever look for and
Yeah,
find.
yeah.
But the question simply was, you set up this business, Rich London PR
Mm-hmm.
in Brixton. Tell us one thing that our readers, our viewers who are going to be watching this video and sort of gleaning a lot of truths and ideas about how to get into this business and follow after your footsteps. One thing they need to know about Rich London PR.
Oh, that's a tough one. So we started as Rich London PR when PR was quite literally a brand would come to us and then we would try whatever means to get that person some coverage and some exposure. More recent years, we've dropped the PR part, so we're now
Yes,
Rich London, because we now are equipped to service brands in all different ways. So over the years, we help with creative, we help with events, we set up collaborations, we manage social media. So it's a full 360 service. And the PR part, because of social media and because of how important influencer placement is, PR part is a part of what we do and still integral to the service. Print PR is still very important and valuable as such, but there's equal focus on targeting our larger network of influencers, and which are our friends really. But so every brand is different, but now we are Rich London, and we're able to offer so much more. Basically, there's normally a small team here, but our wider family of freelancers and colleagues are everywhere. Plus we've been working from home and managed to be really busy during the pandemic as well. So that's been good. So that's one long thing that they might not know. So we kind of started off with Rich London PR, and now it's Rich.London. So
Wonderful.
There
Thank
you
you
go.
so much,
No
Rich.
worries, no worries.
I'm leaving feeling really inspired.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
No worries. Cool. Thank you. You're a good interviewer.
Thank you so much. But your answers were
Natural. No notepad, nothing. Just roll.
Thank
Freestyle.
you so much. You're incredible as well. The stuff that you've done, and to see you go from wearing some of these subcultures to representing them, to me is really full circle.
Yeah, I don't really think of it like. I just don't really ever
Think about it. You should
think
take
about it.
stock of how far you've come.
I really don't think about it. I just think about like what deadlines I've got in a couple of weeks. If I'm going to have time to go and get lunch or stuff like that. I just really don't. I've done a few panels recently, and it's like the people that are in the audience ask me questions, and I'm like, wow, why are they asking that? Like it just
it probably takes you back.
feels how do you do a fashion shoot, or how do you do this, how do you do that? And I forget that it was even on magazines. I forget.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you'd worked in magazines. That's incredible. You're a wealth of experience.
I was a stylist for a long time as well. Like, I mean, after the magazine days, I sort of went freelance as a stylist, and loads of bands and famous people, and it was before Instagram. I haven't got any pictures with these people.
What a shame.
It's like it didn't happen. I'm like, these people. It was cool. This was cool, but it didn't feel cool to do a selfie, and
not that time.
I just kind of stayed on the side of stage or backstage and did my thing, and it's just a long journey of just keep pushing, trying to do things better, trying to do things right, and gradually, trying to be a good, nice person, because there's so many people
who are not.
There's loads of people in this industry. It's like, I've been doing it in and out, just in for 20 years, and
incredible.
And the amount of people that have disappeared or
A lot have. A lot. It's that sort of industry.
And there's few people, you know, like really
Who've had that
solid.
longevity.
I don't know. A good person to speak to would be Wale Adeyemi.
Yeah, he has a great name.
And you know, he's hugely successful with his brands. He's got set loads of brands, loads of property, and he's been around. I've just, we chat sometimes, and it's like, oh yeah, cool, you're still doing your thing, and he's still, and there's not that many people that you know, there's a few stylists, you know, but everyone progresses and moves up the ladder, gets families. It's very difficult to sustain fashion trends with a family and with a mortgage and 2 kids and pets and all the stuff that you have to do as a family. But it's just something that I can't shake off. So it's just yeah, it doesn't really feel like a job. You know.
Incredible.
So yeah.
Thank you for all you've done, Rich. Thank you for what you're doing for the industry, for urban fashion, for streetwear, for brands like this that have so much heritage. It's inspiring to people like me. So people like me have looked up to brands like this. So to be working and even talking to you and interviewing you today is incredible for me. So I sort of grew up.
It honestly seems when you say it like that, it does sound crazy, but I'd take it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much,
No
Rich.
worries.